let's touch on this real quickly because I've used you to help me with my website. You work in conjunction with another friend of the DJ's Vault, who's Brian Lawrence, who actually builds websites. I think the book is called "If Your Website Was an Employee, Would You Fire It, or Would You?"
Would you fire it? Yeah,
right. So and Mike and I've seen you at special kind of think tank type meetings where you secretly shopped people's websites. What
your faces were great that time, though.
Yeah,
I say.
right. I'm like, Mike and I are like, oh,
you did what?
Yeah. What is the, and again, without going too in depth, because you got to save some for the book or save some for the movie, as they used to say. What's one thing that you see a common error that you see a lot of DJs making with their websites? I guess would be the question.
Start with the pictures. We don't read words until we see the pictures. The first pictures I see have to be people having a great time, because that's what people want to do, is have a great time. So I call them aspirational images.
I love it.
And then the second one I would say is too many people put buttons for book us now when all it is a contact form. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get somebody to not push a button, then don't tell them it's a high commitment, like book us now. Right. You know what the difference between us and a 4-year-old is? The 4-year-old pushes the button to see what happens. We don't push the button because we're afraid of what's going to happen. Right. So watch those words that are not really what's going to happen. And there's not the benefit to the customer. The call to action should be a benefit to them. Like if you show a great picture of a packed dance floor, and you talk about how you're going to, work with them on the songs, and everybody's going to have a great time. And then you have a testimonial from someone who says, "Oh my God, Joe made our wedding better than I could have ever thought." Mm-hmm. The call to action should be, if this is the way you want to feel about your wedding, and more important, your wedding DJ, call, email, text, or contact us today. Have a very specific call to action that's a benefit to them, not all about you. Too many DJs' websites are all about themselves. I call it the you test. If you just go to your website and search every page, you can go edit, find in every browser and type the word you, it'll tell you how many times it is on the page. And some people, it's 0 because it's I, or we, and there's no you.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like somebody was looking at his website.
I'm looking at my website right now.
I can tell.
I'm looking for the word you. I'm looking for, I don't have any book us now. Yes. I think every time I make a change to a site, I think, what if Alan brings this up in a second? I want to make sure my website passes the Alan Berg test at the wedding MBA. I don't want to sit in the back of the room and go,
oh no.
Well, it's funny because today, as we're recording this, my next podcast launched, and is it time to fire your website?
I saw that this morning.
I got the email.
And I actually was in the middle of writing a book, which is 5 Signs It's Time to Fire Your Website, as a sequel to If Your Website Was an Employee, Would You Fire It? And I paused because another book became more of a priority based upon what people are telling me, which is I have a book called Why Don't They Call Me?
Yeah.
Because everybody says in the industry says, it'd be so much easier if they would just pick up the phone and call me. I could have a conversation with them. Right. So the next book that I'm actually halfway through writing is called Why Are They Ghosting You? Or Why Are They Ghosting Me? Because there are so many things. And Joe, we spoke about this on the podcast. It's such a big issue for people, because if you think about the biggest opportunity for everybody listening here is the people that reached out to you that ghosted you. Because the people that reached out to you and told you yes, great. The people that reached out to you and told you no, okay, we can move on. But the other people reached out, had put you on that short list, and you don't know if they still need a DJ. You don't know if they booked anybody else. And that's the biggest opportunity. I was actually chatting on Facebook this morning with a DJ up in Canada, and he was talking about his Wedding Wire stuff and whatever. I said, well, do you get a response from everybody that reaches out to you there? And he said, no. I said, well, work those differently, work those harder, because it's so much easier to work a lead you have than go find a new lead. So too many people give up too soon. That's what in Why Don't They Call Me? That's what's in this new book. And then just the way, like book us now, a button on your website. That's like when someone emails you or fills out your contact form or messages you through fill in the blank, Wedding Wire, Facebook, the Knot, whatever, and you immediately go for the call or the meeting. That's a high commitment. right? That's like when you were dating. You guys remember back when you were dating, right? Mm-hmm. You go into the bar and you stand with your friends. You see somebody cute at the bar. There's a stool open next to them, and you walk over and you go, "Hi, would you like to get married?" That's a little high commitment. That's a high commitment.
Shot
right?
Way high there.
Is this seat taken? Would be a better way to start.
Right. Yeah. You helped me change that. Because I think I was going for the call or meeting too quickly in the conversation, and I've pulled back on that a little bit. That's, I try to wait now 3, 4, 5 contacts back and forth before I say, hey, how about we, and nowadays it's non-committal. It can be face-to-face, it can be Zoom, it can be a phone call, whichever they prefer. But yeah, I think I was trying to get that meeting too soon. And I think I heard you talk about that, or maybe I read it in that book, and I just realized, okay, whoa, big fella, I know that's what I eventually want, but got to slow down a little bit.
And that's the key. It's not that you can't ask for it, right? So, Joe, after I was on your podcast and we talked about this, I had a DJ guy here in New Jersey reached out to me, and he said, I'm getting ghosted all the time. So we went, did shared screen, and logged into Wedding Wire so I could see his conversations. He was sending a short message, good. He attached his brochure and prices, not good. I'll tell you why later. And he was going right for the phone call to the meeting. So, and then he wasn't even following up. That was it. Oh, wow. So I'm looking at this one. It was 30 days before, and he had done this thing. I said, why didn't you try again? He goes, yeah, I don't know. I said, all right, so let's try. So I literally wrote one sentence to this bride. Hi, Jenny, are you still looking for a fun DJ to make your wedding great? Right? No, I kid you not. 3 minutes later, she comes back. Yes.
Whoa.
Right? This is 30 days later,
yeah, right?
He should have done this the next day. Well, not that message, but so I was like, okay, it's like a fishing, right? The hook is in. What do you do when you're fishing? Do you yank the fish out of the water? No, right? So I gave it a little line and I said, fantastic. Have you already secured your venue, or are you still looking for one? She came back and she said, we have the venue. She gave me the name. I asked if he knew the venue. Yes. Do you know anybody there? He gave me a name. I said, nice place. He goes, yeah, I work there a lot. I said, oh, so glad you chose that. I hope you're working with Debbie. She's fantastic. Are you having both your ceremony and reception there? She came back and said, yes. Now, I'm mirroring because she is not giving me War and Peace in her answers, right? Yes. So I said, now listen to the wording. I said, I'm so glad you said that because they have a beautiful ceremony area and I have the perfect sound system to make sure your guests will hear every word of your beautiful vows. The results of a ceremony sound, not the ceremony sound system. Your guests will hear every word. Nobody wants you to bring speakers. They want the guests in the last row to hear the vows, right? I said, by the way, how many guests are you expecting? She came back with a number. I said, is that a good size? He said, yes. I went back and said, that's a great size for that dance floor. I can already see it packed with your friends and family. As a matter of fact, I have some great ideas already, but I'd love to hear more of yours. Can I give you a quick call now, or would later today be better? She came back, said, can't talk now, later's better. I said 6 o'clock or 7. She said 6. I get the phone number. He calls her at 6 o'clock, makes the sale.
Wow.
He hadn't touched it in 30 days. He wasn't going to touch it.
Dead. No, it was dead. It was
wasn't going to do it. So then I was on another podcast talking. I think I was back on your podcast, Joe. I was telling this story, and Donnie Lovering in Canada. I think you know Donnie.
Yep.
Right. So Donnie is listening, and while he's listening, goes back and responds to some people he hadn't responded to before, and gets a response from somebody while he's listening to me tell the story. Awesome. And what's the moral of that? If you try at least one more time, then you're trying now, you're going to get some people that you're going to get back on the hook. If you don't, well, here's one of my favorite signs. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, Joe and I have done an episode on follow-up, and it amazes me how few DJs do that. I think there's, and I'm sure it's not just our industry. There's so many people that, reply to a lead and then it's up to the client. And yeah, I mean, there's many times where it's my 4th reach out or my 5th reach out that they finally go, oh yeah, because a lot of times people reach out for information, but they're really not ready to book that service yet. So if you don't stay, and it's a combination, we do some follow-up automated, which I think is great. It can be a little cold and not personalized, but at least we're staying in touch, and some personalized. And if you create that kind of combination of following up, you're going to close way more deals. It's
right. Right. The combination is important. If you're just relying on automated follow-up, I don't care how personal you think it is.
It's not.
When we do our secret shopping, like we secret shop Think Tank, right? What was that? 40 something DJs?
Yeah.
I 40 something DJs. There's an awful lot of, I'm doing air quotes, personalized automated follow-up that looks the same. Right. And when you only see yours, you think it's personalized. But when we see 5 that look pretty much the same, it's different. So people can tell, right? You can tell, we can tell, people can tell. And sometimes you just could be the last man or woman standing because you're the only one asking. I bet you 30 days when I responded to this bride, I bet you there was almost nobody, if not no other DJs that were still trying.
Right.
And life gets in the way.
Not every follow-up has to be a call to action or a call for commitment. A lot of our follow-ups, especially further down the road, are simply informative. We've written a lot of blogs on our website, and so a lot of our follow-ups is, hey, do you need ideas for parents' dances? Here's a blog with a bunch of those. It gets them to our website if they click on it. Hopefully, they're thinking, oh, great, Elite Entertainment helped me with this. But either way, we're just kind of staying in their email box on a fairly regular basis, so it doesn't have to be.
And that's evergreen content. And you could, update the newest songs or whatever. And you should have a call to action at the bottom of that blog, but it's the soft call to action. Right. If you have any other questions about mother-son dances, father-daughter dances, or any other way that we can help you, call, email, or contact us. It should be there because it's the, hey, can we still help you? Not book us now, right? It's not book us now. I have at the bottom of every one of the blogs that I've written. And now what I do is I put the transcript of every one of my podcasts on my blog as my blog because it's content, right? So there it is. There's a call to action at the bottom. Right. It's there because go on my sign again. If you don't ask, the answers are. By the way, this is what you do with the bourbon bottles when you're done. Just so you know.
Oh, very nice.
That's what you see. Wait, is this bad? Hang on a second. Is this bad that I still have these to go?
Wait, what are those?
No, you're
these are the tops of the bourbon bottle.
Yeah, the stopper.
Yeah. So when you speak of call to action, and we can wrap up on this one, I know one of the services that you offer to everyone in the industry, and especially DJs, is consulting, one-on-one. Tell our listeners what that can entail,
or how to reach you in general if they want to buy a book or whatever. I feel like it's all on the website, but let us know.
Everything's on the website, but the services that I offer are not canned. All right, the only thing canned about it is the time. My initial consultation is 2 hours. Every conversation I have is different. I actually have this afternoon a DJ in Colorado who's doing the second one with me. We talked about his website the first time. We talked about the things that we spoke about, what he should put on there, what he should add, what he should take off, changing the calls to actions and things, making it more mobile friendly because Google's looking more at mobile. Most people are looking on mobile. And then I've had other people come to me like, Joe, we talked about your pricing, right? We talked about packages. Everybody's got a different need. What's the thing that's you're stuck on now? I've worked with, I don't even know. I mean, hundreds of DJs over the years, and thousands have heard me speak about this kind of stuff. And you need sometimes a voice of someone who's not a DJ because, if you always do what all the other DJs do, you're going to stay within that. But there are ideas outside. I had a guy this morning called me when I was on my walk. He's a bridal shop. And I gave him an idea that was something from a photographer, right? Because it's translatable and it's different. How does this apply to your business? So my service, it's 2 hours website review, consulting, sales training, all of these things I've done. Are you trying to grow your business? So you're trying to go the opposite, right? How many people do you know that were big multi-ops that have gone to smaller multi-ops or single ops, right? What are you trying to accomplish and how can I help you with my over 25 years? And we didn't say it in the intro, but I was vice president of sales at The Knot, so I know a lot about that side as well. I published wedding magazines. So go to the website, alanberg.com. You can get to the podcast from there, my shop from there. It's all there. If I didn't do that well, then you shouldn't hire me.
One of the point that you just made about getting ideas from outside your industry, that's one of the reasons why I love the Wedding MBA, because I go to a lot of DJ conferences throughout the year, but that's the only one that has a little bit of a higher view where it's not just drilled down for DJs. There are some specific DJ stuff there, but I mean, I will sit in on a seminar about, the latest bridesmaids dresses trends, because I might pick up a sales tidbit, or I might pick up something that I can drop in my next conversation with the bride. So, not that, I mean, I'm not here selling wedding MBA tickets,
but if you've never been, a lot of people go every second or third year. And I just had I have these little signs here. You know, you might, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. I have another one. Ambiguous next steps bring ambiguous results. I just had a brand new sign made. There you go.
Don't just take notes, take action.
Don't just take notes, take action.
Here's my latest sign.
I could relate to that. But, you know, too many people go to conferences and if you do one thing different because of that event, how can that affect you, right? If I teach people to convert leads just a little better, that's a skill that multiplies itself in the future, but only if you do something different, right? If you just keep doing what you're doing, if you're looking for validation, stay home and look in the mirror. If you're looking for some new ideas, don't try to do everything, right? That was actually my podcast last week called Don't Paint the House, right? You just do something. You just do something different and you see how that applies to your business. And if it doesn't work, just do something else.
Yeah, one of the things that Joe and I used to talk about in our when we did the workshops is we used to have this 2-day very intensive workshop, and at the end of it, we said to our attendees, "You probably have a list now of 50 things that you want to go do, and that can seem daunting. Don't go home and do all 50. Pick out the top 2 or 3 that you want to implement now." Give yourself 2 weeks to do those. And then in 2 weeks, go back and revisit the list and do that for the next 2 weeks, for the next 6 months, instead of going, I got 50 things to do. And then, because a lot human nature is that's too daunting. Put the notebook away. I'm not going to get to it.
And you also dilute all of your efforts on those things and you get nothing done. One of my other books, Your Attitude for Success, actually my smallest book, it's a really skinny, it's like literally an hour and a half read. I know that because if you get the audio, it's an hour and a half and I read it to you. So there you go. Not like your book, Mike. That was a little bit longer.
That was late.
A little bit long. But Your Attitude for Success, I talk about that exact thing. I came back from a conference and the president of the National Speakers Association said the same thing. You have this list. He said, I want you to take that list and rewrite it and write it in the order that you think it'll have the most impact on your business. And then I want you to keep the top 3 things and physically get rid of the rest of the list. I don't want you to be able to see it. Look at those 3 things, which are not 3 things, which is my point of last week's Don't Paint the House. Painting a house is not a thing, right? Getting the paint chips is a thing. Getting the brushes is a thing. Getting the rollers is a thing, right? Break it down into those things. And then once you've done those 3 things, it feels really good to cross off 1 out of 3. You cross 1 off 1 out of 50, you step back and you go, crap, look at that list, right? So make a list, but don't look at the rest of the list. But here's the really funny part. That number 4 that didn't make it to your top 3, when you make a new list, it may not be on there because it's not important anymore. Because once you do those things, you've moved yourself and your business someplace else. So for me, like writing this website book had made it to my top 3, and then it got knocked off because it was a bigger priority. Right? Why Are They Ghosting Me was a bigger priority. Well, that is, if I have free time, I just open up Word and I start writing. Right? I've had people ask me, Alan, you've written 5 books. Oh, by the way, todos mis libros disponibles en español. So if you need, people say, how do you write a book? I said, 1 word at a time.
Yep.
Right.
Just write.
Alan, we could talk to you forever. I knew this was going to be the case, but man, thank you so much for being on, dude. You are, you're the best. Have we gone over how listeners can find you? AlanBerg.com, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I wanted one more thing, Mike. You mentioned the piano playing. It was a videographer in Philly, a friend of mine, that reached out and said, you should do that. I was like, why? And we'll get into that story. We've raised over $2,300 for charities because of those piano videos, because my friend said, hey, you should go and do this. And I was like, why not? Mostly food banks. Did a little for the ASPCA. I've done a little for some, civil rights causes, but mostly food banks. But, I think
it shows my priorities. I think I only donated when you were doing for the pet charities. So that
but you did big. But you went big. I will say that you did go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did go big. I'll give you that. But it's again, just do something. Sitting around doesn't get you anywhere. It's been fun. You guys are always great to talk to. Thank you so much for inviting me. You each are going to be on my podcast, the Wedding Business Solutions podcast. So we will we'll get to talk more about how you guys have gotten where you are.
So awesome. Everybody watching live, you can watch it back in the Vault Facebook group, but most of you will hear this podcast, and it will be up on Thursday morning as usual. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Make sure if you're not already subscribed to Wedding Business Solutions, Alan's podcast, you get on that as well because, again, tons of great info as you heard today. Mike, any final thoughts?
No, that's it. Alan, just a pleasure always. I hope to see you soon.